This is the WSBF library. We got a lot of records here, and there's even more on the other side. And I'm Thomas too. I was in another video, but now I'm in this one. I'm going to tell you about the records I like the most. The most important one that we have is the BBC's tribute to John F. Kennedy. This is a comedy broadcast that they made serious after Kennedy died because they didn't think that you could joke about it. Now, of course, we're fine to joke about it, which is why we play this on the radio all the time, mixing it with random stuff. It's got a lot of British people saying things like, John F. Kennedy was the only politician to be good, and now he has died. So it's fun to play that and then play like a really bad song or a really good song. I like playing this over the Minecraft music sometimes. It's a fun one. This double album compilation, Joan Baez, the first 10 years. There are a lot of covers on this, obviously. Silver Dagger is great. It has a really good cover of Don't Think Twice, It's Alright. I like this interior gatefold image of all people crowding around at some massive festival. Lots of Bob Dylan, a few originals. Good stuff. David Byrne. David Byrne's my guy. He's my number one guy. This was his first proper solo album. Came out right after My Life in the Bush of Ghosts, which he did with Brian Eno. And it was a soundtrack for a dance show that Twyla Tharp choreographed on Broadway in the 80s. In the extended version of Stop Making Sense, there's a full band version of Big Business from this album. And then every version of Stop Making Sense, the album and the film includes What a Day That Was, which is pretty good on this, but is like top 10 Talking Heads songs in my opinion. This is an album I've never heard before, but I think it's funny. It's called BLT. On the back, someone offered their opinion that BLT stands for basically lacks talent. But I like this because it looks like a menu board that you'd have at McDonald's in like 1986. Just look at that beautiful, detailed, high quality BLT image. Look at all that. It's really stunning. It's really something. This is one of the finest pieces in our collection. Human League, Dare. This is the Human League album that you've heard of, probably, if you've heard of the Human League. It has Don't You Want Me on it, which is the big hit. I think this is a great album all around. Those seconds on this, a song about John F. Kennedy, who we mentioned earlier, so nice little reference for you. Seconds is one of my favorite new wave songs. Things That Dreams Are Made Of, also a really great track. The box sets are up here, and the box set that I'm gonna look at is not actually in the box anymore because something happened to the box and it got squished. But these are 4 of the 5 LPs of Bob Dylan Biograph. I think Bob, that guy, he knew what was up. He knew what he was doing. One of these is like a full side of just his protest songs from the early 60s, which is altogether maybe one of the better sides of music compiled. Lonesome Death of Hattie Carroll and Masters of War back to back on the track list is pretty crazy. If you never heard of Bob Dylan, you should check him out. We have a lot of albums. Start with S. One of them, this Sparks record. Sparks is a band that I'm honestly not super familiar with, but I do like what I've heard and I've been meaning to listen to them more. So I found we had this record. I put it on during my show one time. I think I played Cool Places, which is the hit single from this. Kind of goofy, silly, new wave band, like the album cover here. He looks real scared, like he's gonna be the next guy to get a pie in the face. I think it's a pie, I don't know. The only band that matters, Talking Heads. Stop Making Sense. This is good. It says on the back that it's good, because I wrote it. This is an interesting album because it's not the actual full soundtrack to Stop Making Sense. It's just a single LP with, I think it's 9 songs on it. I don't know why I'm saying I think, I know, I'm reading it right now. But there are some good ones on here. Girlfriend is Better, which is the source of the title of the film. What a Day That Was, Life During Wartime. But it cuts out a lot of the slower tracks, like Heaven, which is maybe my favorite song in the movie. Still a pretty fantastic selection. Biggest omission, I'd say, is This Must Be the Place, but you still have a lot of the other classics on here. Psycho Killer, Burning Down the House, Take Me to the River. Good album. Came with a book originally, but I assume someone stole that in the 40 years since we got it. I have a copy at home that has the book in it. It's very, very nice and very cool. Let's talk CDs. CDs we have a lot of, somewhat surprisingly. I did not know that we still had so many because we had to get rid of like several hundred, if not several thousand, when we were rearranging this library because we didn't have space. We had another David Byrne project. This is Everything That Happens Will Happen Today, which is his second collaboration, second full-length album with Brian Eno. This one has the song Strange Overtones on it, which if you've heard a David Byrne solo song is probably the one you've heard. It's a fantastic song. There's also one called One Fine Day on here that is amazing. I think Brian Eno recorded and produced all the instrumentals on his own and then sent them over to David Byrne, who performed all the vocals in their like home studios. I like this one. I'm glad that we have it in our library here. Two right next to each other, very convenient. Both of these are CDs released on DFA Records, first LCD sound system. Daft Punk is playing at my house. Every WSBF party, this song makes an appearance at some point. I really like the single cover for this with the like graph paper. But this was kind of the first song that LCD Sound System had like mainstream radio airplay with, and was kind of their first successful track. I believe it was nominated for a Grammy. They didn't win one for like another decade or so, but there's a remix on here by Soulwax, who has done a lot of great remixes of electronic and rock songs of the 2000s, but especially LCD Sound System. I don't like this remix as much as some of their others, but their Get Innocuous remix is great. They also remixed Blue Monday by New Order. This is another one, like I said, released on DFA Records, Light Asylum, which is a very interesting, very like dark kind of synth pop album, very unusual sound. The vocals, like very, very deep male vocals with like very super melodic female backing vocals, lots of harmonies. First song on here, Our Fortress, I really like. It has this like intro that reminds me of I think Through Being Cool by Devo, where it's just like a really fast electronic drum lead in. This was very hard to actually like find physically for a long time. They finally, I think last year, repressed it, but this CD and the original LP for a while, I believe, were the only ways that you could physically own this for about a decade, and it became very, very expensive. This, Sugar Cubes, Sugar Cubes are the band that Björk was part of before going solo. Their biggest hit, a song called Birthday, which is on this album in multiple forms. This is a remix album that was made from music, I believe, from just their first record. Really great remixes, obviously really interesting vocals. This album was one of the last things that the Sugar Cubes released before Björk went solo in the early 90s, came out in 1992. And I think the guy in the band was annoyed that she was getting all of the press, so there was tension in the band that she left and made a bunch of really, really great albums. Sleater-Kinney, The Woods. It was initially going to be the last Sleater-Kinney album. Carrie Brownstein, I believe, not necessarily broke up the band, but they had like a mutual agreement to stop performing. But this is a classic, I guess it's classic now, but it's a classic Sleater-Kinney album, one of the great kind of Riot Girl or maybe more post-Riot Girl bands. This has some of their biggest tracks on it, Modern Girl and Jumpers and Entertain, all back-to-back in the middle. The second to last song on here is called Let's Call It Love. It's 11 minutes long, and it is crazy. There are not that many 11-minute Riot Girl songs, so usually like 2. At the time, it was their final statement. It still kind of feels like it is. No Cities to Love is great. It's an album I really like, but it still feels kind of like an epilogue to this. Yeah, that's the music I like in this room. There's probably more of it, but that's the music I like in this room that I could think of. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe and hit the notification bell and watch all the other videos. The views and opinions expressed in this video do not necessarily represent the views of WSBF, Clemson University, or the Board of Trustees. Thank you, and goodbye.
Hi guys, welcome back to WSBF-FM Clemson. I'm Thomas too, and this is my library favorites.
I'm not doing that, I just feel like doing YouTube voice.